I was never the type to chase after parties. The pounding bass, the haze of alcohol on people's breath, the shallow chatter that never meant anything. It all made me feel misplaced, like I'd stumbled into a story I didn't belong in. But that night, Jake, my best friend, was relentless. "It's just a normal get-together," he said with a grin that told me he knew I'd regret saying no. Nothing crazy, just people hanging out. Before I could protest, he was practically pulling me out the door, insisting I needed to loosen up and actually live a little. What I didn't know then was that I wasn't just stepping out of my comfort zone. I was stepping into a night that would quietly change everything. When we arrived, the house looked like any other suburban gathering. Porch lights flickered against the evening. Music drifted from a Bluetooth speaker that someone kept fiddling with, and clusters of people laughed, danced, and drank with ease that felt foreign to me. I hovered near the kitchen, clutching a soda I didn't even want, watching Jake vanish into the crowd, like he was made for this kind of chaos. I, on the other hand, felt invisible, like a shadow lingering at the edge of someone else's scene. More than once, I thought about slipping out, going back to the quiet I craved. But some quiet nudge inside me, told me to stay a little longer. That's when I noticed her. She was sitting alone on the back porch, far away from the music and chatter. No phone in hand, no forced smile, no effort to look like she was having fun. She just sat there, calm, eyes tilted toward the sky, like she was searching for something only she could see. In the middle of all that noise, her stillness was like a breath of fresh air. I hesitated, nerves catching me, but there was something about her presence, a peacefulness that pulled me in, like finding a familiar face in a room full of strangers. Even though I'd never seen her before, I finally gathered the courage to walk over and, softly, asked if I could sit with her. She looked at me, and the smile she gave wasn't one of those practiced party smiles. It was real, warm, an unspoken yes. I sat down beside her, and from that moment, the party faded into the background. Hours slipped by unnoticed as we talked. Not the small talk I dreaded, but real conversation. Easy, natural, as if we had known each other for years instead of minutes. She told me about her love for stars, about stargazing with her dad before he passed, about how the night sky always made her feel close to him. And I found myself saying things I rarely admitted out loud. How crowds made me feel like I was drowning, how I longed for the kind of quiet where I could just be. She didn't judge. She didn't try to fill the pauses with meaningless words. She just listened, and she understood, truly. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt seen. The connection between us wasn't forced. It unfolded gently, in the quiet spaces between our words. As the night wore on and the air turned colder, people began trickling out, their laughter fading down the street. But we stayed there, side by side, wrapped in a blanket someone had left behind, reluctant to let the moment end. When we finally stood to leave, we exchanged numbers, not out of politeness, but with promises that already felt real. And those promises held. We saw each other again and again. Late-night walks under the stars. Coffee that stretched into afternoons. Movie marathons. Trading books. Quiet evenings in the park with her telescope as she taught me to trace constellations across the sky. Without realizing it, we became each other's favorite person. It wasn't a whirlwind romance or some dramatic love story. It was steady real, the kind of love that feels like coming home. Months passed, and our bond only grew deeper. One night, lie beneath a sky crowded with stars, just like the night we met, I finally said it. I told her I loved her. The way she smiled at me then, soft, radiant, as if she'd been waiting her whole life to hear it, was a moment I'll never forget. I used to think life's biggest changes came with noise, with grand gestures and sudden turns. But that night, at what was supposed to be just another party, I learned the truth. Sometimes everything shifts in the quietest way, like sitting beside someone who understands you without needing words. I walked into that house expecting nothing. I walked out with the beginning of everything.